Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. My grandkids are coming, and one of them has a peanut allergy, so I can't make any dessert or anything that has peanuts in it. So I thought, well, they like cinnamon rolls, I'll make them some cinnamon rolls. So I'm going to get those started. And these cinnamon rolls are a little bit different, and I'll explain that in a minute. But first of all, in my bowl, I have 1 tablespoon of sugar, and I want to get this started. And to that, I'm going to add what would be equivalent to 1 package of yeast, and then I have 1/4 cup of warm water. And you don't want hot water because it'd kill the yeast, but I want warm water to activate it. And I want to stir this together and then set it aside for a few minutes while I do some other stuff, so that yeast can start feeding off the sugar and activating. Okay, so the reason I decided on cinnamon rolls, not just because my grandkids are coming, but also I've been doing some state stuff. And cinnamon rolls are really popular throughout the Midwest, and especially in Kansas and Missouri. The reason being partially because of the school lunch program, and cinnamon rolls and chili seem to go together there, and that just kind of grew as a thing that we like here in the Midwest. The other reason is because TJ Cinnamons was actually founded in Kansas City, and so it has become a breakfast thing, a dessert thing, one of those treats that we really like. So these cinnamon rolls end up really warm and fluffy, and they're loaded with cinnamon flavor. They're really irresistible. So I'm going to show you the Jell-O pudding recipe, and it was originally a Taste of Home recipe, but my sister, her sister-in-law, Leah, who's been here to visit with us, I'm pretty sure my sister had a recipe from Leah that involved using pudding in her cinnamon rolls. And if I'm wrong, if that's not where it came from, I'm sorry, but for some reason that sticks with me. But so in my mixer, I'm going to add some ingredients and mix those up while that's activating. So in my mixer, I'm going to put that instant pudding and 1 cup of cold milk. And I'm going to mix this up. And then I want to turn the mixer off and just let it set a minute or so to let that pudding start to thicken up just a little bit. And I've got my dough hook on. You can use your paddle hook or your paddle attachment, whichever you want to at this point. I just don't want to dirty 2 of them, so I've got my dough hook on for now. Get that pudding down from the edges. Almost too short to do this. Okay, so I'm going to just let this set a minute or so till it starts thickening up, which doesn't take it very long with no more milk than there is in there. I just want to make sure all the pudding is dissolved as well. Okay. Once that's set a minute, I'm going to add my melted butter, and I have, a 1/4 cup of melted butter. I want to add a teaspoon of salt, and then 1 egg, and you want your egg to be at room temperature. Okay, let's go ahead and add these ingredients. Butter, a teaspoon of salt. I need to refill my crock. And my egg that's at room temperature. I also have measured out 3.5 cups of flour, but at this point I just want to add in 2 cups. And this is why I have the dough hook on. 1 cup. And there's 2. And I'm going to turn this up and beat it on medium until it's nice and smooth. We have a smooth dough going, so now I'm going to add just enough flour so that I can actually handle the dough. And don't forget when you add the egg and the other items, before you add that extra flour, to put in your yeast mixture. And then you're going to knead this, and you need to knead it for 6 to 8 minutes until it's really elastic. And you have that extra flour that we haven't used to make a dough that you can handle. And you may have to use all of it. You may have a 1/2 cup left over. So you just want to keep kneading it until it's nice and pliable and no longer sticky. And again, that might take 6 to 8 minutes. And then we're going to transfer it. I've been running around like crazy. We're going to transfer it to a bowl that I've greased, and I've got a warm or a clean towel that I'm going to put over it. I'm going to put this in a fairly warm place away from drafts and let it rise. And it'll take about an hour for it to double, and that's what we're looking for. So keep kneading until you have an elastic product. I've kneaded my dough, and it's easy to handle now, and it took me about 6 minutes or so. And as you can see, I have maybe 1/4 to 1/8 cup of flour left that I didn't need. So I'm going to drop my dough in my grease bowl, then flip it over, then cover it with my clean rag, and I'm going to let this proof in a warm place or rise until doubled, and that'll take about an hour. So my dough has been rising, and I'm going to pinch it down, and then you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either divide it in 2 and roll it out into a rectangle, and then we're going to put some soft butter on it and some of the cinnamon sugar. I mixed 1 cup of sugar and a tablespoon of cinnamon, and I have 1/4 of a cup of soft butter that we're going to use, and we're going to spread this over, about half of it over this one and half of it over the other one. Enoch's watching in the background. Do you like cinnamon rolls, Enoch?
Yeah, they're good.
Butter isn't as soft as the other one was. And you can use brown sugar instead of regular sugar if you'd like to, instead of regular granulated sugar. It just gives it a little richer flavor. So I'm going to take about half of my sugar mixture and spread it on. I want to roll them as tightly as I can. And then I'll cut these, put them in my sprayed pan, and repeat the process. And then I need to cover them and let them proof or rise again for another 45 minutes. Continue this and do the other one. Okay, our cinnamon rolls are out of the oven, and while they're still warm here in just a minute, I want them to cool down just a little bit, but while they're still a little bit warm, I want to ice them with a combination of 1/2 cup of soft butter, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, a teaspoon of water, and 1.5 to 1 3/4 cups of powdered sugar. And then they'll be ready to eat. Good morning and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. Before we go to church, I'm going to throw a couple of things together for our lunch afterwards. And one of the things I'm going to do, and I want to share with you, is a recipe from Kentucky. It's a White Pillars breakfast pumpkin crunch, and you can have it for breakfast, you can have it for a dessert. It works well for both. And really, it's more of a fall recipe, but our family likes pumpkin pretty much any time. So this was actually made popular by a bed and breakfast in Kentucky, and it's kind of like a dump cake, a pumpkin dump cake. And there are lots of different variations, but it's loaded with pumpkin and spice and flavors, and it's super simple. So I've sprayed my 9x13. I preheated my oven to 350, and now I'm ready to get started. So in my bowl, I have my sugar already, and I have 1 cup of sugar. To that, I'm going to add 1 can of pumpkin puree. And this is a 15-ounce can, so it's between 1.5 cups and 2 cups. When you actually measure it out, it's closer to 2 cups. Okay, and I'm also going to put in 12 ounces of evaporated milk. Those are on my way. And 4 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, which is the same as 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon, if you're doing the conversion. And I also want to put in just a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to mix these ingredients together, and then I'm going to pour these into my sprayed 9x13. I'm also going to add to this, to make it a custard, I'm going to add 3 eggs that I'm going to beat slightly. Okay, I have my 3 slightly beaten eggs that I want to add in. And then pour it in. Make sure all the egg white is well incorporated. Okay. Okay, for this, I'm going to take 1 yellow butter cake mix and sprinkle it over the top. Smooth that out slightly. And then I have some quick oats that I'm going to put on. I have 1 cup of quick cooking oats. And it calls for, the recipe I have calls for 1 cup of chopped pecans, but I have some people in our family that don't like pecans, so I'm only going to put these on half of it, so I only have about 1/2 cup. And lastly, before I put this in the oven, I have 1 cup of butter that I've melted that goes over the top. When this is done, and it takes 50 to 60 minutes in the oven, when it's done, You can serve it with whipped cream or ice cream. Vanilla ice cream is really good with it. Really, whatever you would serve with a spice cake or a pumpkin pie goes well with it. So I'm going to pop this in that 350-degree oven for 50 to 60 minutes, and then it should be ready to go. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.